All right, the committee will come to order. Thank you all for being here for the first meeting of the Agriculture Subcommittee of ACNR. We had our first full ACNR committee meeting this morning, and we are now going to take up the bills in front of the Agriculture Subcommittee. I am Delegate Helmer. I'm the chair of the subcommittee. And we will open the rolls to take attendance, and then if everybody could just give their name, their district really quickly so folks know who's on the subcommittee. The clerk will open the rolls, please. All right, the clerk will close the rolls. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have a quorum present. With that, starting at Delegate Runyon, would you mind just introducing yourself and where your district is?
Delegate Runyon, 35th District, which is all of Highland, all of Bath, 3/4 of Augusta, and Southern Rockingham. And I love the reverb. Thank you.
Who has the WrestleMania voice?
Give us one, yeah.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Testing. Okay, feedback.
We're hot. All right, we're still getting feedback. We'll step back. How about?
No, it's not.
It's not the one.
That man?
Everybody hear that?
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Yes.
If we say it loud enough in the video here, for our IT team, no?
You gotta unmute.
Are we able to get the TV muted? I think it's a TV or something. Is it? Something's TV now.
Is the echo still there? Is that better? Is there an echo? We're good now. All right, I'm Delegate Michael Weber. No, go ahead. Yeah, because we got to do live stream.
Hello, friends and neighbors. I'm Delegate Buddy Fowler, 59th House District, Hanover County, Louisa County, and a little slice of Henrico. It's a pleasure to be here on the Ag Committee and Subcommittee. Thank you.
Delegate Michael Weber, the 61st. I've got Fauquier, Culpeper, and Rappahannock counties.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Tony Wilt, 34th House District, City of Harrisonburg, and a portion of Rockingham County.
Delegate Rodney Willand, representing the 58th District, which is most of Western Henrico.
Darius Clark, delegate representing the 84th District, is parts of Suffolk, Chesapeake, Isle of Wight, and the city of Franklin.
I'm Delegate Phil Hernandez, representing the 94th District, where Norfolk meets the Chesapeake Bay.
Amy Lawfer, House of Delegates, District 55, parts of Albemarle, Louisa, Nelson, and Fluvanna.
Alfonso Lopez, 3rd District, Alexandria and Arlington.
And we couldn't do this without our amazing staff, and if they could just introduce themselves so folks know who everybody is, I appreciate that.
Jackie Glass, representing the 93rd District of Hearts of Norfolk.
All right, thank you, members of the subcommittee, and for everybody here. We will run a fairly quick subcommittee today, and in general, that's how we like to do it here. We like to have a robust debate, but we like to put great parameters around it, give folks an opportunity to hear if it creeps, if it crawls, if you eat it. It comes through this subcommittee. If you pickle it, it'll probably be here. It's going to be an exciting docket over the next few weeks. And with that, I would love to call up, first of all, we'll deal with something administratively. At the request of the patron, HB 1768 will go by for the week. Pending any objections, let's move that. Any objections? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, HB 1768 goes by for the week. Delegate Campbell, House Bill 1814.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you today, you have House Bill 1814, which establishes a felony animal cruelty registry for people who have been convicted of felony animal cruelty. You may remember this from last year. You should. It passed the House, and we went to the Senate, and we discovered that there wasn't any funding in the budget. So I conformed my bill to Senator Stanley's bill, and it went a long way to do some good. But unfortunately, his bill only allows localities to create registries. It didn't allow for the statewide. So this is helpful, but it doesn't do what we tried to accomplish. I understand that the threshold to meet felony animal cruelty is really high. This would capture the worst people. I think you'll remember that from last year. If they're charged with this felony, then they'd be added to the registry. It would include their name, the time of conviction, the offense that they were convicted for, and the jurisdiction. This list would be available on the state police website. This is a legislation really that's going to allow us to protect our animals in our shelters. It gives them a tool that will help them to identify the people that do have a history of abusing animals. And it gives them a chance to prevent them from being adopted out again and being abused. I'd be really happy to answer any questions. Again, this is exactly what we passed last year.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there questions from the subcommittee at this time? Seeing none, is there testimony in favor of this bill? If the clerk could put up a timer, we will allow 1 minute per witness, up to a total of 5 minutes, both before and against. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Heidi Schlicker-Cook on behalf of the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA. Here to testify in support of the delegates' bill. We supported it last year and hope it makes its way through the committee again. I'm also authorized today to let you know that the Virginia Alliance for Animal Shelters is also in favor of the bill. So we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other witnesses to testify in favor of the bill? Are there witnesses who would like to testify in opposition to the bill? All right. Before I give you your last word, Delegate, I do have a letter that says if this bill were to report, it needs to go to appropriations as it did last year, and sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm still getting used to the virtual world here. Apologize. If we could please switch over to the Zoom and go ahead and take testimony from Heidi Meinzer in favor or about this bill. She spoke. And she spoke. Oh yeah, Heidi already spoke. It's different Heidi. Different Heidi. Yeah, Heidi, if you could turn on your camera, please, just because we only do perfect.
There we go.
You have.
Good afternoon. This is Heidi Meinzer. I'm with the Virginia Federation of Humane Societies, and I am their legislative liaison. And we also wanted to support the bill. This will help the rescues and shelters with their obligations to ensure that their officers, directors, and animal caretakers are not. Have not been convicted of cruelty. So thank you for your efforts and for your consideration.
All right, and Ms. Ramona Hazara is not on the Zoom, is that correct? One more? All right. I have Alex listed as for the. All right, I think that is all of our witnesses. Delegate Hernandez, did you have a question? Go ahead.
So Mr. Chair, the question for the patron, just in an instance where the conviction, let's say a prior conviction is overturned for whatever reason, or I can't remember off the top of my head if any of these offenses here would be eligible for expungement under the laws that the General Assembly has passed in recent years. I would need to double check that. But let's say there was an offense that's sort of set aside. Is there a mechanism here to get your name off the list for due process concerns? Or I'm wondering if it should go to courts as well for their look, but that's just my question.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that that would be something that we would certainly be friendly to adding, but at this time, there is not a mechanism for that.
Thank you to the delegate. Any further questions? All right, delegate has the last word, and then we will make motions as appropriate.
I appreciate you all taking the time to listen to it again this year. This really is an important tool for our shelters, and it's important for us, to make sure that we're not sending animals out to be abused. We recently have had another case in Page County where, someone was convicted of felony animal cruelty, or she's been charged with it for starving a dog to death. So unfortunately, these things do happen.
All right, thank you very much. The committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Chair, I very much appreciate the patron's presentation and also the testimony for that. But I don't think we're quite there yet, and I'm going to move that we gently lay this on the table.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to lay this bill gently on the table. The clerk will open the rolls. Thank you, Delegate. I know all of us are very supportive of the intent of the bill. I think, as you heard from the delegate, we have opportunities to continue to work on this, and I know we just put into effect the local list, so maybe give it a little bit of time to operate.
Gently just still hurts. Thank you.
All right. The final bill before the subcommittee today is House Bill 1941 by Delegate Siebold. Delegate Siebold, please tell us the skinny on your weed bill.
Before you begin, I have a substitute.
All right.
Do you have that before you?
The substitute.
Mr. Chairman, what the substitute does, it moves the language from 10.1 over to 3.2. It also adds a delayed effective date of January 1st, 2026.
Thank you. And my understanding is that 13.2 was referenced in the initial bill as well, so we're just shifting it over. So this is an administrative drafting change. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Move to approve the substitute.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to adopt the substitute. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The substitute is in before us. Thank you, Delegate Siebold.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, HB 1941 amends the Code of Virginia as it relates to invasive plant species and retail sales. The bill requires retailers that sell certain invasive plant species to post clear signage in proximity to the species indicating that it is indeed invasive. So to address the governor's concerns with last year's version of this bill, we have specified exactly which species will be affected by this legislation by listing them in the bill rather than referring to the Department of Conservation and Recreation's educational list. Currently, there are 39 species of invasive plants that pose a significant risk to Virginia's ecosystems. These plants are readily available for sale to residents, many of whom are unaware of the harm that they can cause once introduced into our local environments. Not only do these invasive plants degrade Virginia's ecosystems, but they can also harm the infrastructure around us by clogging waterways and impeding power line access. These invasive species come with a cost, with an estimated loss reaching as high as $1 billion annually in Virginia alone, according to the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation. Requiring retailers that sell invasive plant species to post clear and informative signage is a fair way to mitigate this problem without imposing an outright ban. So this signage will inform customers that, that the plant is invasive. It will educate them about the dangers that these species pose to our environment and encourage them to consider alternate non-invasive options. This legislation will protect our ecosystem and our consumers while saving the Commonwealth millions of dollars. So, Mr. Chair, I ask that we report this bill to the full committee. Thank you.
Thank you to the patron. Are there questions from the subcommittee?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right, Delegate Weber.
So there's a list here, but so just real quick, is Paul Krizik's English ivy on this list?
It is a top 39 invasive species, yes. But we are, unlike, sorry, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, Delegate Weber, unlike Delegate Krizik's bill, we are not banning English ivy. We are just recommending that people know it is indeed a very terrible species.
It is English.
Thank you, Mr. All right, thank you. Delegate Wilt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering, at retail facilities, are the plants that we're talking about, are they listed by their, I guess, is that Latin? Mm-hmm. Are they listed? Does a customer see this name? And
Mr. Chair, to answer Delegate's question, in the code, we've put it in Latin, but it will also be displayed in its common use terminology when it's being displayed in a nursery.
Thank you, Delegate Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a real quick question. In your presentation, you mentioned a figure, monetary figure for some of the costs related to invasive. Can you repeat that, please?
It's estimated to be, sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. It's been a long year. This is my first time presenting again. Mr. Chair, to answer the delegate's question, the Department of Conservation and Recreation estimates about $1 million. $1 billion annually.
Big number. Thank you.
Is a big number. Delegate Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, question of the patron. I appreciate it. I noticed that we delayed the enactment for an additional 3 months or 2 months, whatever it was. Did we take into account the growing cycle? Because I understand as these things, they tend to grow through, let's call it a nursery or an infant stage, and then they go to a middle stage, then they're going to the retail stage. And is this an adequate period of time for the industry to respond and to react to what we can't change with Mother Nature, so that they don't end up stuck with a bunch of plants that ultimately will be difficult to sell? I think it's been understood in other states where these signage has been placed, the volume of purchases declined pretty precipitously. And so I can appreciate that we're trying to regulate this at the retail level, but boy, we seem like the potential could go way upstream and impact some of our wholesale producers, perhaps unfairly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, the effective date was done at the request of the industry. In fact, we have Peace in the Valley with the stakeholders who are in the room today who all agree that this is a fair legislation. And when you're prepared, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to call them up and answer the delegate's question.
Did you feel, Delegate, that you need additional input on that, or does that answer your question?
That takes care of it.
All right, thank you very much. Delegate Lawford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you to the delegate for bringing this forward. I did reach out to Albemarle County to ask them how much money they are spending to eradicate invasive species, and they're spending nearly $90,000 a year, and that doesn't even include the amount of time that's volunteer hours, which is over 300 hours. So taking this next step to help our localities to combat their invasive species issue, I think it's an appropriate step. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Lawfer. There was no question, right? I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. Delegate Weber has our potentially final question.
Well, no, I was going to wait till.
Yeah, wait till, okay, we'll come up. Okay, perfect.
It'll be
We'll
a
do
question probably for one of the stakeholders.
All right, we're going to reverse
Thank
this
you,
a little
Mr.
bit
Chair.
because I believe we have peace in the valley. So all those who are opposed to the bill, could you please come forward and testify? As expected. See, peace in the valley right there. Well done. All right, so let's not talk too far past the sale, but all those in favor of the bill, could you please come forward and testify? We will do a total.
Excuse me, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. My name's Susan McLaughlin, and I signed up to speak in opposition
We will
to the
come to
bill.
online. That's not a problem. We will come to online testimony in a moment. That's not a problem. So you'll get your opportunity.
Okay, you were about to vote, and so my apologies. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. I promise you'll get to testify before we vote. All right, thank you for speaking up. All right, all those who are in the room, please, in favor of the bill, we will do up to a minute of testimony per person, but please budget your time accordingly because we'll do a total of 5 minutes maximum testimony. Thank you.
Sure. Chris Land, representing Blue Ridge Prism. We are a organization that's responsible for education around invasive species harms, invasive plants in particular, active in 13 counties around the Shenandoah Valley. We'll do projects to do things like wavy leaf removal, et cetera. So this will have a direct impact on the advocacy that we're doing. If you've seen a webinar about how to remove invasive plants, it probably came from us. Just a couple of facts and figures in terms of the dollars from some of the other localities. I know Loudoun County just enacted a $2 million grant program where HOAs and other folks can apply to remediate invasives. And we know that Fairfax County has over 2,000 man hours that go into this every year, when at least the last reported figure that we got. So this is having a huge impact, and dealing with this on the front end is going to be incredibly valuable. Thank you to everyone who worked on this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jay Ford with Chesapeake Bay Foundation. On behalf of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Virginia Conservation Network, we support this legislation, and I'm going to keep it there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Kyle Hart. I'm on behalf of the National Parks Conservation Association, a group dedicated to protecting and enhancing America's national parks. As folks are probably aware, invasive species are a huge problem for National Park Service. For instance, Manassas National Battlefield in Manassas, Virginia, dealt with 24 different invasive species last year alone on 120 acres of their park. The Park Service, similar to Delegate Siebold's point, has an estimate for hundreds of thousands of dollars, as well as many, many hours of staff time and volunteer time. So this is a big problem. We think this bill starts to address the problem of invasive species. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Katie Hellebush with the Virginia Nursery and Landscape Association. We want to thank our stakeholders for working with us. As you remember, last year we did express concerns in opposition to the bill, but we come here in support of the negotiated bill. We appreciate the removal of the $500 civil penalty, and also the work group that will work with the commissioner to come up with the details for the signage. And also want to assure Delegate Weber that I believe your assistance IV, your IV is for indoor use, so it won't be affected by the bill. This is specifically for invasives for outdoor use. So thank you all so much. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Heidi Hertz representing the Virginia Agribusiness Council, and we support the bill and appreciate all the work that went into finding peace in the valley.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Blair St. Ledger Olson with Virginia LCV, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and the committee, Ian Blair, Wetlands Watch. We also support the bill.
Mr. Chairman, member of the committee, Ken Wright, Potomac Conservancy, we support this legislation.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. We will now turn to online testimony. We can go the same direction if that's all right, Delegate Siebold. So I know there was one member in opposition. All right, so Susan, I think you can go ahead, and if we could put the timer up for 1 minute, and then we'll do the fours next, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm a Virginia Master Naturalist in Fairfax County and hold weekly volunteer sessions at.
Susan, would you mind turning your, I'm so sorry, but would you mind turning your video on? Oh, she's on?
Oh.
No, she's not on. No. Oh, you got to.
Are you talking?
All right.
I'm here. Susan Lowney is here.
Susan McLaughlin is who I have listed as testifying against. Is that correct?
That is correct. Can you hear me though?
I can, yes. I can. I'm sorry.
Can you see me?
I'm so sorry, Ms. Long. We're going to switch up just because we had two Susans. I did not realize that. Please go ahead. Susan McLaughlin. We'll keep it in the same order as in the room. Alex, we will get to you and the other folks on here in that order. But go ahead. You have 1 minute. Thank you so much.
All right. First of all, I want to apologize for speaking out of turn. I misunderstood. I thought you were going to a vote of the subcommittee. Mr. Chair, and I'm very grateful that the subcommittee is considering this topic. I too spend countless hours removing invasive plants on my property, and for 20 years I've advocated for reducing the use of invasive plants in landscaping and for reducing their sales. But I just wanted to raise some, and I'm now actually working on a PhD on this particular topic. But I wanted to raise some concerns with respect to the bill that we have in front of us. There's just no evidence that this approach is going to work. And so I'm concerned about it as a matter of public policy. I'm concerned it's going to create costs for businesses without payoff for the public. If I could point you to lines 60 and 61 of the bill, where it requires that BDACs take into consideration the signs used in neighboring states. To my knowledge, Maryland is the only.
Susan, I'm so sorry. Susan, if you could just wrap it up in the next 10 seconds or so, and if there's pieces that we miss, you can submit written testimony, which will follow the bill with it, okay?
Okay. There's no evidence it works, and Maryland no longer uses signage. They determined it is not effective, and they have moved away from using signage. So thank you. I'll submit written comments.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Ms. Laum? Hi, nice to see you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm a Virginia Master Naturalist in Fairfax County and hold weekly volunteer sessions in a 104-acre park here. I've had over 500 volunteers work with me in small groups over several years in removing invasive plants. I recognize that my work with volunteer groups is largely an educational effort because local landowners keep unknowingly reintroducing the same invasive plants we're trying to eradicate. It would be especially effective if we could have this signage at the time that homeowners on these small green islands are making decisions about what to plant. And it would really help to extend the reach of this education of to the public about the risks, well beyond what I and other site leaders are able to do. It makes much more sense to educate than to keep throwing millions of dollars and time at this problem. So this bill should receive your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sprague, nice to see you. You're up.
You too, Mr. Chair, and it's MX Sprague for the record. Bear with me, I just got staples removed after being hit in the head and robbed last week, but I'll be as quick as I can. Any measure that it takes to crack down on invasive species, I am all for, because one of my chores when I lived with my mom was removing invasive plants from the fence and the other trees, and it wasn't fun. And this was something that I had to do like every month, like sometimes even every couple weeks or so, and it really triggered my grass allergies. And like I feel like the work is so unnecessary. So, and besides, like it's just warning people about invasive plants. Like everyone should want to be warned about things like that. So please pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our testimony. Are there comments from the committee before I turn it over to the patron for the last word? Mr. Runyon, Delegate Runyon.
Thank you. I do appreciate the intent of the bill, and I struggle with this. We're seeing invasive species in the valley, in our agricultural world, that these plants they're not in that same list. So I'm a little concerned maybe we're misfocused. I also would say that I've had discussions with various folks in the nursery industry in the valley, and to summarize it, they feel like the list is way too expansive and it's not going to be effective to achieve the things we want to do. So that being said, Mr. Chairman, I do intend on voting no. I was pleased to hear there was peace in the valley. Sorry to try and disrupt that, but I would encourage us to look at maybe some other more effective solutions in the future. Thank you, sir.
It appears there are remnants of the insurgency in the valley. Delegate Siebold, if you could please go ahead and you have the last word.
I appreciate the committee, Mr. Chair, taking the time to hear this bill again, and I'm looking forward to hopefully moving forward with it.
This committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair, move to report. With substitute, yes.
It has been moved to report the substitute and properly seconded. The clerk will open the rolls. The clerk will close the rolls. House Bill 1941 reports with substitute 9-1. Thank you very much, Delegate. That concludes the business of the subcommittee. The committee will be adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.